What's up, Guardians? Hopefully you're all having a great day. As you can tell by the video title, we're going to be talking about the TWAB and the changes that Bungie is making to Destiny 2 in just a couple of weeks with the launch of the next season. Now, I didn't put everything in here. If you want to go do a deep dive on everything they talked about, feel free to. I've linked the TWAB for this week in the description at the very top. Let's get right into it. We're going to start off with stuff that I am most excited about and go towards things that are just, they're there. I think it's interesting, but maybe I'm not as excited as other things. Bungie is giving more exotics anti-champion functionality, like what we see with Arbalest and Ariana's Vow and a few other guns, which I think is an amazing improvement. It's going to help build crafting so much, especially for endgame content, and there's a few of these that I personally am really excited for. Blade Monarch is getting intrinsic overload to poison arrows, so even if your first shot doesn't stun them, there's going to be a chance that that poison damage will stun them later on. Thunderlord is just straight up getting intrinsic overload. It should mesh amazingly with Arc 3.0 coming up next season. Malfeasance is getting unstoppable to explosions and a 25 buff to airborne effectiveness stat so that it matches other precision hand cannons in its same class. Wishender is going to be getting anti-barrier, which is something I don't understand why it didn't already have. It's also going to be getting a buff to hitting most targets instead of twice, 3 times, as well as increased damage versus champions, majors, and mini bosses by 10%. And the draw time is getting decreased by 8 milliseconds, which isn't huge, but I think it'll help it a little bit. Deadman's Tail is also getting a pretty big rework. Cranial Spike is no longer going to buff damage versus players. Instead, it's just going to increase your reload, aim assist, and range per stack. It'll still grant additional damage versus PvE combatants. However, it is a 20% decrease. In order to make up for that, they've increased the hip fire by 50. It's going to fire at 180 rounds per minute now. To quote Bungie, Lord of Wolves has long been a thorn in the side of PvP players, especially when paired with certain exotic armor pieces. End quote. In order to combat that and also make it a more viable PvE exotic, they have decreased the starting ammo in PvP, reduced the burst size and the burst delay, decreased the base damage by 20%. However, in PvE, they increased it by 20%. We'll have to wait until next season to see exactly how these changes play out, but this gun could become really effective in certain PvE situations. To go along with this Lord of Wolves PvP nerf, they're also nerfing omnioculus and Whisper of Chains, specifically the damage resistance that they apply. You can see how much they're nerfing it right here. It's got the different tiers listed. Moving in a different direction, Bungie has announced that they are reworking the Gambit and Iron Banner origin traits, as they're too specific. They only apply to their certain game modes. To start with, they're getting rid of the Invader Tracker and they're renaming it Gun and Run, where multi-kills will grant you increased sprint speed. Iron Banner, they're redesigning the perk to activate on kills while at low health, so it will work in all of PvP. For Dares of Eternity, they're going to be updating the perk pools for all the weapons, along with adding an origin trait, and I have no idea what this origin trait is going to be. If you have any ideas, comment down below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. To go along with all these weapon changes, several weapon stats that were previously hidden, such as airborne effectiveness, recoil direction, zoom, and aim assist, are now going to be visible in the weapon inspection screen, which means that you don't have to visit any external websites or apps to view those stats. It's just going to be right there in the game. Scout rifles are going to be getting a 10% buff against all minor enemies in PvP. This change is in addition to the buff that was previously given in the Solstice patch a few weeks ago. All non-sunset, high-impact auto rifles, like the Come to Pass, are going to be receiving a stability buff ranging from 6 to 12 depending on the weapon, in order to try and make them more viable and more usable compared to their other auto rifle counterparts. Glaive melee attacks will now proc the exotic armor perks on ACD 0 feedback vents, Karnstein armlets, and necrotic grip. Bungie has also stated that they're looking at expanding the way the glaive interacts with other armor pieces in the future. Lightweight bows are also going to be receiving a reduced base draw time by 5%, which means they're going to drop from 612 to 580. They've also increased the perfect draw window from 0.3 to 0.5 on the low end and 0.55 to 0.8 on the high end. Heavy grenade launchers are also going to be receiving a 10% buff to damage versus majors and above, so that they are more viable in PvE. Thanks so much for watching the video, everybody. I appreciate all the support so much. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel for future content. As I stated at the beginning, these are not all of the changes being added by Bungie. This time around, they are adding some more, so go ahead and check the link in the comments if you're interested in reading the entire TWAB. These are just the things that I found interesting and the things that I think are going to apply to me the most based off of my playstyle. Hope you all have a great day. I'm out. Peace.